Alright. Welcome back to the podcast. So just recording something quick. I have a book on Audible that's still loading, so I figure I'll just record while that's going on. But yeah, just kind of wanted to talk about this topic of positivity that I came across. So I was watching some videos by Peter Santanello, and there was a video that he has on YouTube about Rich Atlanta, and there was a person that he kind of interviews different people from all over. So people who don't really know what Peter Santanello does, he basically, in most of his videos, has like short series worth of different types of content. So he's gone to different states, different countries, but I believe most of his YouTube channel is different states in the US. And so he goes to different states that have like a certain theme of culture or subculture, or different cities, or just like, he talks to locals and interviews them. And sometimes I guess he has a lead or somebody who contacts him that says, hey, I'd like to show you around my city or whatever. And then other times he just kind of finds people, it sounds like, when he shows up, and then he interviews them and lets them show him around. So for example, some of the other ones other than Atlanta, he has gone to the Amish community, some in Florida, some in I believe Ohio, different like Mennonite groups, Beachy Amish, some elderly people. He's gone to like an Amish auction of some type. I don't know what exact Amish group that was. And then, I think his latest series at the time that I'm recording is kind of about, he's had like things about like border patrol, like between the US and Mexico border and different places like that. And then he has some other video content about cowboys, so different states and like kind of people who have like large like ranches. And this one lady who moved from like near Silicon Valley to live like, I don't remember if it was in Texas or I don't remember, like just different places where they do farming, like in Texas, Wyoming, Minnesota, like I don't remember exactly. And then he has other videos too, but the ones that kind of catch my eye a lot of times are the ones that have Black people, African American people in the US, because usually people aren't going to Black neighborhoods. This guy is a tall Caucasian dude, bald, usually has a hat on. He says that people usually see him and assume he's like the police or something. He's gone to like lowrider culture in East LA, talked to a lot of Chicanos, talked to a lot of like Japanese lowrider culture people. And he's kind of like going in places where a lot of people, you don't really see a lot of content about them anywhere. Well, you do, but like it's very niche. And I just like that he is culturally very just like involved with different groups. And so what I liked about the interview he did with this I'm trying to look it up. There's this guy on YouTube. So I'm typing in Peter Santanello, and then on his channel, going to his videos and the ones with Atlanta. The video is called Exploring Rich Atlanta. Exploring Rich Atlanta. And he has this guy who was talking about like the luxury homes, and he sells them, and he was talking about his story, about how he got from a point from where he could not really even pay his bills to, becoming like a multimillionaire. And I like the entrepreneurial side that he showed of Atlanta as well. A lot of black businesses, really cool to see. But I also like that he goes into inner cities a lot. But what I really liked about this specific video was the approach about positivity. And so the guy he's interviewing talks a lot about about positivity. Like, it's not necessarily a video about positive thinking, but he made some comments that really stuck with me. I was like usually I just watch these videos and they're entertaining to me. It's kind of my style of entertainment, like cultural related topics really are. But I really liked how the guy he was interviewing was saying like when I come around people, or when people come around me, I just tell them straight up, like positive vibes only, like only positive conversation. And Peter was asking him, like, do you get pushback? And he's like, yeah, a little bit. People might get mad, people might get upset or angry. And that did kind of that resonated with me, because I had an experience kind of like that, where I guess maybe it was assumed that I was being judgmental when I didn't want to be like gossiping about my friends and stuff, and I kind of made that very clear. But other than that, I really like that approach of positive vibes only, because it's hard to catch the negativity, right? So not saying that like people can't express themselves or talk about their problems or like be open about what they're going through, but sometimes it's like the perspective it comes from can be very one-sided in a negative way. And I do notice with myself, I definitely do tend to think that way. If I don't feel a certain way that I want to feel when I'm waking up, then I'm like, man, I want to feel that way, not this way. And then I'm like upset with it and frustrated with it, or like, instead of just like, I know how to function like this, I can get through the day. Like, it's not like it's so out of the norm that I don't know what to do, so it's kind of like that, like taking a different approach to things. Sometimes like if somebody isn't doing things the way I want them to do them, like people make mistakes, for example, and I do too. And like, say if something at work isn't going exactly as I want, like for like a stupid example, like we had a meeting the other day, and they kind of like explicitly stated that they don't want us logging into work early, and they explicitly stated that they don't want us like logging our lunches and having our lunches after 2 p.m. because we work 8 to 4, so we need to be finishing lunch at the latest by 2 p.m. And sometimes I start my lunch at like 2:30, 3 o'clock, I like the freedom to have my schedule however it kind of is. I like, my, I like to log in about usually between 8 and 10 minutes early, just in case it doesn't work, because our server's kind of weird. And if not, sometimes like 15 minutes early, just because like, I like to log in and then maybe I go like make some breakfast real quick or something. It's like, I'd rather just have it logged in, know that I'm logged in, and then once it's 8 o'clock, I just start working. It's just my own personal preference. And so, we had a meeting about it on like Wednesday, and I was a little like, annoyed, that the meeting went that way. And I'm like, I mean, these are just the rules. I knew these rules. We've been told these rules before, and I know the rules. It's in the employee handbook. I just kind of was like, well, nobody's saying anything, so I'm just going to kind of do what I want because this is how I want to do it because it's convenient for me, but sometimes I don't really like my flexibility being like taken away. But it's just stuff like that. It's like, is it really a big deal? No, it's not really a big deal. I have a job. I have ability to afford and eat lunch, I wake up on time easily. Well, not super easily, but I'm usually awake way before I need to be up for work. I have electricity and internet, and I can log into a job and work from home, and like, those are cool things. That's all positive stuff. So why would it matter, about my 30 minutes here, 15 minutes there? They're not really trying to get in my way, but I was kind of only thinking about it very one-sided, like, and I wasn't letting it get to me too much, but it was getting to me enough that I was like, okay, but I say all that just to show examples that, like, for myself, it's very, very easy to just get into a negative mindset about things that aren't even really that pressing or that important or that urgent. It's like, why am I going to spend my energy doing that? And I've been doing classes in the morning, and I think I mentioned before too that I came across like Jamie Messina's content and found that really helpful around 6 something a.m. in the morning. And I just realized, in the mornings, it's like I'm up at like 5:15 a.m. I don't work till 8 a.m. So it's a little challenging to be up when you don't feel good, and it's like my mind isn't like positive sometimes by itself, and I'm just like looking, like I almost find my mind just like looking, actively searching for like just negative stuff to kind of just like latch onto. Like literally I will wake up that way, and I'm like, I wasn't always waking up that way. So something has happened where I just naturally kind of wake up and start latching on to negativity. And I can snap myself out of it, but I've definitely noticed positivity leads to higher motivation. Positivity, actually, I can override the need to even consume caffeine just to get my energy up, just by being around positive energy, positive like affirmations, just people who are kind of like positively prayerful people, or people with like spiritual mindsets, or that kind of just like test a little bit of like the thinking about what's negative or what's difficult, and they can kind of help that to change just by overhearing it, just through YouTube or Instagram or whatever it may be. Like, there's a lot of power in positivity, and I was noticing how I was getting so easily trapped by negative energy, that it's just it's just not, I mean, I'm noticing it more, and I'm definitely making changes with it more. But it is kind of something that I do have to try to take a couple breaks at least during the day to kind of reflect and be like, okay, like, what was I doing the first half of today? Like, was there a lot of negativity coming on? Like, I start realizing, like, okay, why am I tired? Why am I drained? Like, sometimes it's just something as simple as, negative thinking about, like, oh, like, I'd rather not have to sit and, with these classes, I have these books I have to go through. I'm like, another book, and it's like, I mean, I'm learning. I mean, I'm in the classes because I want to learn, right? So it's like, what did I think was going to happen? That I was just going to be like playing around on like Instagram all day. Like, no, like I know I'm studying. Like, that's how studying goes. You read a lot, you listen to lectures a lot, you write a lot, but it's like sometimes I find myself complaining and I'm not even really thinking that way. It's just like I just start complaining about it. It's like, here comes another book. I wanted to listen just only to lectures. Like, here comes another book. And I'm like, but I'm actually really into the topics and I really don't know a lot about this field and I really want to know more and it does interest me a lot. So why would I not want to read the book? Why would I not want to read it? So it's kind of just like trying to even think about it deeper of like why I'm even like saying things that I don't even fully believe. Like, I don't even fully buy into the negativity. It just comes like, it's almost like it's naturally just like coming, and I do have control over it, but it is really, it's become kind of like an automatic process in parts of my day with a lot of things. Like, I know I'm overwhelmed easily. I've got a whole lot going on lately. A lot of changing has been happening over this past summer, and it's just a lot. It's good. It's all good changes, but it's really just a lot. So it's just kind of an interesting relationship I'm having with a lot of these different types of things, where it's like, okay, like, I know I'm doing what I need for myself. I know that I want to do this. I know that I'm motivated. I know that, I'm pretty dedicated to what I'm trying to do. And at the same time, there's like another part of me that's like trying to like slow me down, and I do understand kind of how that guy was saying, like, it doesn't really help to be negative. I mean, of course, negativity, things aren't going to be perfect in life all the time, and it's not saying ignore how you feel or never talk, about your emotions, but, there's a time and place for that too. It doesn't have to be just like constant negativity on everything or doubting everything, or being like concerned about everything or worried about everything. It's like, sometimes just the energy flow itself can really change from having a positive mindset and really just like staying determined, like one thing I notice is like, how can it shift, how can it shift from one part of the day to the next? It's like one day things are so motivating and exciting and like ready to go do this and yes, let's go. And then all of a sudden a few hours later, it's like, oh man, I just want to take a nap. Like, this is boring. This is tiring me out. Like, I don't want to do this. I just would rather nap. And it's like, really? Like, like it's so weird how that just shifts, and I think, the mind is just so powerful and it does take a lot to train it to be positive and train it to think, positively and catch the negative. Now, this is my own personal belief, and I might have to look more into this, but it's my own personal belief that, at least for myself, I'll put it this way, for me, if I do know that there's negative stuff in my life, in my day, in my situation, I'll usually, it's my own belief that it's best for myself to put time aside to deal with it, in a healthy way, whatever that may look like. I do find it, helpful. I do find that necessary. I for myself can't just completely be all positive all day long, every single day. And if I have like, difficult emotions coming up or just difficult attachment to those emotions coming up, I can't just like avoid it, like, and, or look at the flip side of the positive only. Sometimes, like I do notice that I like to put things into creativity, but then also my creativity does sometimes become um a negative outlet in a lot of ways, if that makes sense. Like I think I've mentioned before that, like, I've gone back through like some old lyrics that I wrote when I was like pretty young, and then I've gone back through some old riffs that I wrote and like music that I wrote when I was like, not, when I was like younger, and not like a kid, but like, it was probably like 15 years ago by now, like 10, 11 years ago at this point. So it was a while back, and I was like, wow, this is like really dark sounding. And a lot of my artwork was, just definitely like kind of like dark. It always looked like everything was happening at night. Like it was always night, like a little bit of light from like a street lamp, and then like dark, that's kind of how I was, getting out of that negative kind of energy and expressing it that way. But it's like, I don't think I have anything that I wrote or anything that wasn't like negative necessarily. And I even notice it with podcasting. It's like, even though, I'm waiting for, well, it's probably done by now, but I'm waiting for a book to load on my phone. So I'm like, well, let me just record something on here, because it's been a little bit. You've probably noticed it's been a little bit. I haven't been posting every single day because I'm trying to get this class just done so I can just get on with my routines and stuff. It's kind of getting in the way of my routines, but yeah, I was just like, I'm gonna record something about how powerful I found that message of like just speaking positivity, and then here I go talking about all my negativity, so it's kind of like, I noticed it's a challenge, but also it's like, I don't know if I'm perceived as like a very negative person. I don't really know. Like, I don't try to be like negative. Like, I try to just be real about things. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, everything's like great and happy and like woo, like, if you come and talk to me and I'm really just having a low day, I'm not gonna be like that. But I mean, I'm probably honestly not gonna be hanging out if I'm not feeling too good. But then, I spent this last week. It was an amazing week. I got to see so many of my friends. I got to catch up with a lot of people. Not all of them. I mean, and I was just thinking, I was like, I get to go down to San Diego Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 5 days I got to see 5 different friends. One day I saw 4 friends instead of 1, but all at the same, we were all at the same place at the same time and everything. And all these friends I got to see, and I was just like, man, I wish I had time to see everybody. I wish I could stay more days and make plans with more people. I wish I could see everybody. And it was just kind of like a funny thing that I was like, how do I feel this way about this situation, where it's like, I have enough friends that I need to make multiple trips. Like, I can't even just see everybody in like 5 days. Like, that's a blessing, right? It's like, I have people that I want to see that were willing to make plans with me, and it was easy to make plans together. And we were just hanging out in different parts of the city, at the park, at a bar and grill kind of bar, at a house, at a pool, at a just multiple different types of places that we got to hang out and like catch up and stuff. And it wasn't all negative. It wasn't all just like, let me tell you all my woes and sorrows. Like, we just talk about life, what's going on, catch me up in your life lately, and like, I feel like that's how most of my friends are. It's not really like everybody's negative or everybody's like positive, but it's more like, like, I think we have a good vibe going. And it was really a nice process for me to really get to do, because when I'm up in LA, I keep myself a little isolated just so I can have a lot more money on hand to be able to go down to San Diego whenever I feel like it, because I know I'm not spending money out in LA other than on food, pretty much, and a little bit of gas. But I mean, these aren't bad problems to have, they're not bad situations to be in. um, just it can be hard to kind of see clearly. And I feel like, like when you squint your eyes and you're walking around and your eyes are like purposely squinting. That's almost how I feel. I feel like I'm freaking squinting my eyes and walking around like I'm partially, like my vision isn't clear. And I mean, I wear glasses, so it's almost the same thing. Like, take off your glasses, everything's blurry, it's not clear. I can see it, it's there, but it doesn't look exactly like it actually is. And I think, that, okay, I'll end with this. So if you've ever seen the movie Shaka Zulu, great movie. It's about a Zulu warrior king. It was one of those mini-series made for TV. Probably one of the best movies about Zulu culture that I've seen in mainstream American movies. I haven't seen that many movies that were about that many African culture movies in general. Anyways, other than like maybe Roots, which is kind of more of like an African American, but kind of African American. But yeah, I was like, what on earth? Like, so, there's a time where the Caucasians, they're kind of surveying, and like, the warriors kind of notice, like, there's these people that are in our land, these white people, like, who are these people? And they were kind of like studying, the tribal culture and like trying to get closer. And they didn't really know the culture. They didn't really know Shaka Zulu or any of the people, or they were just trying to like get connected, but they didn't want to just like waltz into somebody's territory and just be like, hey, we're here and this is why we're here. And so they were kind of trying to get like an invitation and get closer, but stay cautious, and because they weren't like familiar with the language or the culture too good. Not all of them were, just one person kind of was. And then they come over, the people are like looking at them like, with these white looking people, and like, what is going on? And they start bringing, like, the white guys bring Shaka Zulu as the king, they bring him a lot of gifts. So they bring him things like a music box. They bring him things like a mirror. He liked the mirror. He really looked in the mirror. They brought him things like a dog. I think it was like a pit bull or something like that. They brought him other types of like trinkets and things that weren't really things that they necessarily had in their culture there. And then they, one of the guys was wearing glasses, and they were like, he was like gesturing, like pointing, like, hey, like, what are those things on that guy's face? And so one of the servants or representatives of Shaka comes over, and like the translator is kind of saying like, oh, we want, he wants to see those things, like your lenses, he wants to see your glasses. So he lets him, somebody takes him over to Shaka, and Shaka puts him on, and he says, this man doesn't want to see the world as it really is. And he starts kind of like laughing. He's just like, why would somebody want to put these things on? And I, me as a person who wears glasses, I know that when people who don't need to wear glasses put on my glasses, to them everything's blurry. But to me, when I'm wearing my glasses, things look more clear. But they don't look the way that they naturally look to me. Like, naturally things look blurry to me, right? And so when I'm putting on the glasses, it kind of makes me think, like, am I seeing the world like other people assume I should see it? Because there's this assumption that we all need to see things looking exactly clearly and crisp like this. Well, some of us don't really see them that way. Naturally I don't see them that way. Naturally, without my glasses, everything's the same color, but it's fuzzy and it's not clear. And as humans, we rely very heavily on our vision, especially in Western culture. You need to be able to read, you need to be able to write, you need to be able to read from distances, if you're driving or trying to get around anywhere. I can't imagine being in a city where I don't know without my glasses, and trying to read the signs, and even calling up an Uber and trying to see is this even the right license plate. I could see the car, the shape of the car, the color of the car, but I wouldn't be able to identify license plates or anything like that. It would definitely be a challenge for me to not have my glasses. And so I kind of think like that, and I'm just like, wow, that would be really a really big issue. And I've had my glasses since I was 4 years old. So it's this is kind of how I see things. I'm used to having them all the time. There was once at a hotel where I took off my glasses, and I guess maybe I was, washing up by the sink, and I took off my glasses and put my glasses by the sink, and I, went to bed. I woke up, I think the next morning, and I was like, shoot, where are my glasses? And I couldn't find them on either of the nightstands. I couldn't find them beside or below a nightstand or under the bed. And then, I tried to shake out the blankets, because usually, with the blankets, what I would worry about is sitting on them or rolling on top of them or something and breaking them, or on the floor, stepping on them and breaking them. And I'm I usually don't keep that much of a distance from my glasses. This is probably the second time in a while that I've lost my glasses, not this time at the hotel. I was it was during snowboard season. And I always carry a spare pair with me, even though they're wrecked, because I'm just what would I do without them, And so I had to put on those old, messed up lens glasses just to find my freaking glasses. And I found them, and they were all the way on the other side of the room. And then another time when I lost my glasses, before that, was when I was going to work one morning, and I had a button down shirt, but I was combing my hair, and I had my glasses in my pocket. And so I was getting prepared for work and getting ready, and I guess I had bent over and I heard them fall, but I didn't know where they fell. And I had a very low table with two baskets underneath it for little storing little stuff, and they had fallen into the basket and slid to the back, because there was paper and stuff on top. So they slid to the back and then down, so they were at the bottom of the back of a little storage basket, because I guess I had bent over to get some hair products or something, and then they were on the table, and then it the glasses fell down into there. So I was pretty much late to work because I couldn't find my glasses for a while. And then other than that, my friends, I remember my friend had a chinchilla, and it was always trying to get on my shoulder and eat my glasses. And I slept with the glasses kind of under the pillow, and it must have seen me put them there or sniffed them out or something. I don't really know much about their senses, but I woke up and I was where the heck are my glasses? I can't find them, because before I was keeping them on the windowsill, and then I looked under the pillows and under the other, just everywhere, couldn't find them anywhere. And I kind of squinted, looked across the room, and I saw them all the way across the bedroom on the floor by the closet. And I was what the heck? I didn't put them there, why would I do that? And they were partially eaten around the frames at the bottom, and at the side, at the hinges and stuff. And I was this dang chinchilla was nibbling away on my glasses. But those are the only 3 times, probably in the last 10 years or so, that oh, I don't know, the other one was probably like 15 years ago with the chinchilla, but probably about 10 to 15 years ago. That was like the only time. But I don't really know. It's one of those things where I'm like, you know, I think about things like that, about perception and about senses, and when it comes to topics like positivity, it is very important. I notice how important it is in my life to be positive, and it is very important to be positive and have a positive outlook on life. And sometimes I just don't, and it can be a struggle, and it's not necessarily fun. But it is kind of interesting too to think about how we really see the world, is what I was trying to get at with all the glasses stuff, is like, from that quote in that Shaka Zulu movie, like from the line that he mentioned about like, this guy doesn't want to see the world as it really is. It's like, is it from your own perspective as it really is, or from just the perspective of the universe of how the world really is? We have our perceptions, right? But our perceptions aren't actually 100% accurate. And so, with that, I'll leave you with that. This was way longer than I had expected, but I mean, I thought I would record like 10 minutes. But now we're like over 36 minutes, so I hope that was helpful. I hope it was interesting. Everybody have a good weekend, and thanks for listening.